Welcome to The Explainer. So how does a giant energy company secure its future? Well, in this case, by intentionally losing millions of dollars. We're diving into the massive reinvention of Bangchak Sriracha, or BSRC.
Okay, to get a sense of just how big we're talking, let's start with a number. 174,000. That's how many barrels of oil BSRC's refinery can churn through every single day. We're talking about a real behemoth here, a company that's absolutely critical to Thailand's energy supply.
But here's the twist. Despite that incredible scale, the company just posted a huge loss. And get this, it wasn't an accident. Nope, it was all part of a massive planned identity shift. A year of, you could say, intentionally painful change.
So let's get into it. We're going to break down this whole corporate transformation. We'll look at the pricey changes, the clever strategy driving it all, their vision for a greener future, and of course, what the experts think about this massive gamble.
All right, first up, what was the big challenge here? Well, after being bought by Bangchak Corporation, BSRC had to do something massive: rebrand its entire network of 768 gas stations. That meant saying goodbye to the iconic Esso Tiger and hello to the Bangchak Leaf. And believe me, this was way more than just a logo swap. We're talking about a complete identity overhaul.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. This huge change didn't just happen. It came with a very steep and very calculated price tag. This wasn't some unexpected disaster. It was a planned, strategic move, an investment in a whole new identity.
And here's what that price looked like in real numbers. In 2024, the company was in the red by over 1.6 billion Thai baht. I mean, that's a staggering loss. But then, look at this turnaround. Just 1 year later, they're already back in the black with a 343 million baht profit. It just goes to show, the pain was sharp, for sure, but that recovery, man, it was fast.
So the key thing to get here is that this big loss wasn't a sign that things were going wrong. Not at all. It was the planned cost of doing business, the price of this massive pivot. So where did all that money go? Well, it covered the physical rebranding, writing off the value of old Esso stuff, taking a hit on oil inventory during the change, and, upgrading all the payment systems across hundreds of stations.
Okay, so you take this huge, costly gamble. How do you make sure it pays off? Well, this brings us to their secret weapon, a really powerful integration model they call ROSE. You can think of it as the engine that's going to drive their big comeback and all their future growth.
ROSE is basically the new central nervous system for the whole combined company. It's a joint venture that perfectly syncs up the operations of two huge refineries. It unifies everything, from buying crude oil on the global market to managing financial risk. And the goal? It's pretty simple, really. Squeeze every last drop of efficiency and profit out of every single barrel. And here's the breakdown of how it actually works. First, they buy crude oil together, so they get much better prices. Then, they plan their production schedules together, so they can react way faster to what the market wants. They've even completely redrawn their delivery maps, they call it rezoning, to slash transportation costs. And finally, they manage their financial risks together, which creates this much stronger shield against those wild price swings.
But this whole strategy for BSRC isn't just about what happens back at the refinery. No, it's also about totally reinventing what you and I experience at the pump. Really, it's about facing the big challenges of the 21st century. They're looking way beyond the traditional gas station.
And let's be honest, this is the elephant in the room for any company in this business, right? You've got the rise of electric vehicles, which is a direct threat to long-term gasoline demand. So the big question is, if your whole business is built on gas stations, how on earth do you adapt and survive? Well, their answer is to build what they call a retail ecosystem. They're going all in on expanding their non-oil businesses. We're talking over 811 different retail spots now operating right there inside their stations. The goal is super clear. Make the gas station a destination, not just a quick pit stop. And how are they doing it? By partnering up with some seriously powerful brands. Now you can swing by to grab a coffee, get a burger, or even get your car serviced. They are fundamentally transforming their properties to give us all new reasons to visit. Reasons that, frankly, have absolutely nothing to do with pumping gas. Okay, so it's not just about adapting to EVs. BSRC is also taking on the even bigger challenge, the global energy transition. And they've got a really clear, pretty ambitious plan to go green. Their whole strategy here is guided by a framework they call BCP 316 NET, which they got from their parent company. And this isn't just some fluffy mission statement, It's a super detailed, tech-focused roadmap for how they're actually going to shrink their carbon footprint.
And this timeline, it makes their commitment totally concrete. You can actually measure it. They're using 2019 as their starting point, and from there, they're aiming for carbon neutrality by 2036, and then full net zero emissions from their own operations by 2050. Let me tell you, for a company in this business, those are some seriously aggressive goals.
So you've got all these different pieces in motion, right? The tough rebrand, that powerful Rose engine, the big shift in retail, and this whole green transition. So what's the bottom line? What do the industry analysts make of all this?
Well, a classic SWOT analysis really sums it all up pretty neatly. Their strengths are crystal clear. They have world-class refining power and these incredible synergies from their Rose model. But they're also staring down some major threats, like how sensitive they are to crazy oil prices, and of course, the existential threat of the whole global energy transition.
And you know, it's not just about the money. Analysts are also giving BSRC a top-notch 5-star ESG rating. Part of that is for their clear environmental goals for sure, but it's also for their strong community programs and this incredible safety record. Get this, over 3 million work hours without a single accident. That's amazing.
This quote from one of the analyst reports, I think it really nails the general feeling out there. The big takeaway is that, yeah, the short-term pain was absolutely real, but the deep synergies from Rose and these smart, forward-looking investments, they're building what the experts call a durable competitive advantage for the long haul.
And all this leaves us with one final big question. BSRC has made a massive, complicated, and super expensive bet on its own transformation. So have they actually built a fortress that's ready for the future of energy? Or have they just built a more efficient version of a factory that belongs to the past? I guess only time will tell.